Hi there. I was sitting here pondering, kind of eyes open meditation, and I thought I'd share it with you. Maybe we could play with some of these things together. You know, we're told so many things about what's real and what isn't, and who we are and who we aren't. And everyone has to find their own way through this. That much we know. Well, actually, all we really know is that we are. We can say that, I am. We can't define that, but we know the I amness of it. We know it's the ground of our being. It's in there somehow, and it's known. Now, in spite of the fact that we're told that all of our atoms, all the solid substance in our atoms fits into a thimble, and two to a thimble. You know, you can fit two people's solid substance into one thimble. That the atom is largely empty space, hugely empty space. In spite of that, the atoms in a car can mow you down and, kick you right out of your body. So reality and unreality, we're dancing with that. What's real and what isn't. Now, there's something I heard a while back that I found intriguing, and that is that humanity is in the shape that it's in largely because we have a fear of our own power. We're afraid to be who we really are. In some way, we've come into a fear relationship with that. And that's interesting. I mean, we're told that with a small g, please, we are creator gods, in effect. That we're actually manifesting this reality. And yet we shove that to the side. We don't want to look at it. We don't want to own it. It seems too strange, huh? How could that be? That I'm manifesting this whole world that's here before me. And so, somehow, there has been inculcated, placed within us somehow a fear. Just playing with that idea, there are no doubt many embodiments, a lot of them that we probably share. We've known one another in different relationships again and again and again across time-space, across the fabric of that. And no doubt we've had more and less enlightened embodiments. And then we have the time in between, where we step more into the reality of who we are. And I'm not saying the between lifetime is fully that either. But, getting out of the body, you step into levels of freedom that you just don't know when you're in the body. And this via the NDE or the OBE or astral travel. When you think of someone, you're there with them. When you think of a place, bam, there you are. And so I think most of us at this point know that reality as we see it is highly questionable. It really is. I think there are probably a lot of people in mental institutions that know more than you and I. And maybe they couldn't handle it. Maybe their family couldn't handle it. For whatever reason, they've been put there because of their different reality that they're experiencing. And that's a shame. Hopefully, we come beyond that. We expand, expand out into that so that we're not so afraid. I mean, we're afraid of these people. That's why we put them away. It's fear. So much of what we do is because of fear. Insights, when they come, can be intriguing. Sometimes in the mornings I like to read a little bit from I Am That, the words of Serena Zargadata, captured and placed in a book. And it almost always blows the mind somehow. The mind is so full of what amounts to nonsense. I heard it was a light being speaking through someone say one time that 99% of our ideas and thoughts are wrong. Well, you know, I could practically come to that conclusion myself. It's out of those wrong, quote unquote, thoughts and ideas that we craft and create our reality. And so I think our ascension, the shift that we're in process of making, is stepping up into that power, into more of the power that we really and truly have, even now. We're just not used to using it. And it's been foreign to us until recently to think that we're not the body, that we're not the mind. And I mean, you know, for as recently as we've come into this concept, this awareness, if you've made it that, then we haven't been working on this very long. So I think we're doing a really good job, frankly, of stepping out of that. I mean, reality and unreality, it's all such a, well, it's supposed to be a playground, folks. And I guess I'm learning to play with it a lot more. We step up and out of fear, fear that something can hurt us. Well, nothing can. And when we finally touch down deep into the now moment, deep into the heart of our own being, we know that. We know the eternality, the endlessness of who and what we are. We're eternal. Bodies come and go. We've had lots of them, okay? Now the body itself will have some fear sensations. That's not who you are. The mind will have some fear sensations. When it's told that 99% of its reality is wrong, it freaks out. And so we'll get to watch that and experience and see that taking place. I don't know if this relates or not, but it keeps coming into my head. So I was reading in I Am That, and I had finished my reading and I was just pondering one of the things that we learned about Nisargadatta that surprises a lot of people is that he had a temper. And he would frequently use it, lose it, raise his voice, whatever. And that's surprising because there are still a lot of people that think if you're a nani, if you're a guru, if you're a master, that you're perfect. And they have a human idea around what this perfection is and looks like and acts like. And there are others that won't accept him simply because he was a smoker. Well, that was his business. He owned a number of smoke shops. Eventually, once he became a teacher, I think he got down to the one that he kept going. He went on walkabout for a while, left his family and everything else behind. But eventually, when he came back, most of the smoke shops had gone into other hands or gone out of business, but there was one that he managed to keep. As far as I know, you know, facts, I wouldn't trust me too much for facts. You know, if you find other facts that disagree, chances are pretty good that those facts are right. Oh, I don't know. Right and wrong is just such a nonsensical thing. But we don't see it while we're stuck in 3D. While we're thinking that we're the body-mind, we don't see these things. It's what we're doing, my friends, is we're stepping up in our consciousness into higher dimensions. We're doing this now. And we're not aware of it because we have this idea that's very linear, that you're either in one or the other dimension or density, and you can't be in both, in many. But we're multidimensional. And so we are accessing higher parts of the self, if you will. That's pretty linear too, but you know, words are such a challenge. And so when you're finding that you can contain the opposites, when you're in the midst of paradox and you're comfortable with that and it feels good, you're in higher consciousness right there. Right there. Because the mind can't do that. I don't know why the camera is, you know, it's a learning curve. Okay. So the mind can't do that. You've transcended mind, and yet it's still there for you as a tool. It's still useful. But you're more in the being when you're able to contain the opposites, such as the fact that the world is very real and at the same time the world is totally unreal. And these are both true. They really are. And you can find good evidence for both. Now, it's being able to slip fully into one understanding or the other so that we're empowered, so that we begin having the ability to walk through the wall, to think ourselves into a different location. Those things are not too far down the road for us. We're at least beginning to open up to the possibilities. At least I hope that we are. I know that I am. This is part of my work, to see and accept no limitations of any kind. Certainly nothing to do with time-space. And this is a time-space thing, to think yourself into a different location, to walk through the wall. I mean, if there's basically no solid substance in you or the wall, where's the problem? You know? What little solid substance there is should easily be able to slip past one another, to merge. Anyway, don't let your mind play too much with this. Be sure when you're doing your pondering, you're doing it from the position of heart. There's a heart mind of some kind that operates there. And it's the one that's higher dimensional. And so stay in the higher dimensions, of course, would be my suggestion. You have free will. So I was thinking about Nisargadatta losing his temper. And I found judgment. I found self being judgmental of that. And the thought that ran by was, oh my goodness, doesn't he realize the level of power that he has attained? And so when someone at that level of power throws a temper tantrum, oh my God, he's really slinging energy. And so I was watching these thoughts go by. And my inner witness said, that looks like judgment. I wonder what's with that. And so, as I was watching, I looked underneath. And what I saw, I don't know if I'll be able to transfer this, but what I saw was the fear of taking on my own power, our own power. We're afraid that we're going to hurt something. We're afraid that we're going to make a mistake, and it's going to be very costly because of this power that at some level of our being we know that we have. Now, there are probably memories from some of these other lifetimes where we've done that. And there's been quite a cost to it while we were still in the karma type stages of growth and development and evolution. And so there was a real price to be paid. We've learned so much, my friends. We've come many, many rungs up the spiral ladder, if you will, since then. And so we can be trusted. Being, that's what can be trusted, the inner being. And that's what we're learning to do, is to fall back into the arms of our own inner being and rely on that. Not on anything out there in the world, not on anyone, on any institution, any religion, any teacher, any book. Not on anything except our own internal divinity, because that's what it is. It's one with that. It doesn't take anything away from the ocean for the drop to identify itself. It's still one with the ocean. And it's also the drop at the same time. Somehow, some way that works. I don't know how. I don't know much. I really don't. But that's a really good place to be, because as we become less trusting of what we do know, that's when our vision is enabled to expand. As long as we're relying on what we know, on what we think we know, we have the blinders on. We figure we've covered that ground, we know what that's about, and we're moving on. Well, that's a false way to be. That's just a sleeping, a type of sleep that we've been in. And here's the great fun. Humanity is very familiar with laying the body down at night and going to sleep and having dreams. Now, in these dreams, what we're doing, well, you leave your body every night. I don't know if you think dreams are nice ideas that come into your head, or if you've ever awakened, perhaps in the moment when you're returning to the body, or you've ever had an OBE, an out-of-body experience, so that you're aware of this. But we're leaving the body, and we're in a less dense realm, and we have experiences there. And the lucid dreamers among us know that we can gain control to a pretty great extent of what's going on in the dream world. We can begin to direct it instead of just kind of watching it. And so it's malleable. Well, our waking reality is really just another level of dreaming. And I think that as we can begin to look at it that way, we can then make room for our reality to shift. See, our reality is shifting anyway. All of the planets in our solar system are experiencing global warming. Things are shifting and changing. Frequencies, the Schumann resonance was so stable and steady for so long, and now it's out there. The magnetic shielding around the planet is shifting and dropping and changing, and the same around the sun. Things are changing, and so our reality is shifting regardless. Now, we can either fight it, be afraid of it, or have fun with it. So, to me, these kind of ponderings, I guess I have Sagittarius rising, maybe that's a good part of it. And Uranus conjunct the moon, so that kind of helps me to like the unusual and the different, and I don't know. These are just perspectives that we can take on things. Astrology is a type of perspective. It doesn't make it right or wrong. In this higher consciousness, I don't find that there is a right or a wrong. This whole thing with Adam and Eve and the apple is very interesting. We have not been told the whole story around that. It has been heavily edited and monkeyed with. Monkeys are very playful, and the ones doing the monkeying were probably not being playful at the time, but we're going to look back on all of this with a great deal of laughter at a certain point. We've got to stop taking ourselves and everything else so seriously and lighten up. So, have a great day. Talk to you again soon.